What drives a great spiritual leader to rethink his plans and focus on the divine will? Discover how Swami Vivekananda, amidst personal challenges and profound spiritual experiences, reshaped his vision for building temples and spreading divine teachings. Join us as we unravel the remarkable transition of Vivekananda's mission and his deep commitment to the legacy of Sri Ramakrishna. In this episode, we explore a transformative period in Swami Vivekananda's life, marked by a deep shift in his spiritual focus and mission. From contemplating the construction of new temples to the profound experiences at Bhavani, Vivekananda's journey reflects his unwavering dedication to the divine will. As he faces personal trials and advances his mission, he lays the foundation for the Belur Monastery, envisioning it as a beacon of universal harmony and spiritual wisdom. This episode delves into his spiritual evolution, his enduring impact on his disciples, and his visionary plans for the Ramakrishna Order. Another day, in the course of his worship, the thought flashed through the Swami's mind that he should try to build a new temple in the place of the present dilapidated one, just as he had built a monastery and temple at Belur to Sri Ramakrishna. He even thought of trying to raise funds from his wealthy American disciples and friends. At once the mother said to him, "My child, if I so wish, I can have innumerable temples and monastic centers. I can even this moment raise a 7-storied golden temple on this very spot. Since I heard that divine voice," the Swami said to a disciple in Kolkata much later, "I have ceased making any more plans. Let these things be as Mother wills." Sri Ramakrishna had said long ago that Narendranath would live in the physical body to do the Mother's work, and that as soon as this work was finished, he would cast off his body by his own will. Were the visions at the temple of Bhavani a premonition of the approaching dissolution? When the Swami rejoined his disciples at Srinagar, he was an altogether different person. He raised his hand in benediction and then placed some marigolds, which he had offered to the deity, on the head of every one of his disciples. "No more Hari Om," he said. "It is all Mother now." Though he lived with them, the disciples saw very little of him. For hours he would stroll in the woods beside the river, absorbed within himself. One day he appeared before them with shaven head, dressed as the simplest sannyasin, and with a look of unapproachable austerity on his face. He repeated his own poem, Kali the Mother, and said, "It all came true, every word of it, and I have proved it, for I have hugged the form of death." Sister Nivedita writes, "The physical ebb of the great experience through which he had just passed, for even suffering becomes impossible when a given point of weariness is reached. And similarly, the body refuses to harbor a certain intensity of the spiritual life for an indefinite period, was leaving him, doubtless, more exhausted than he himself suspected. All this contributed, one imagines, to a feeling that none of us knew for how long a time we might now be parting." The party left Kashmir on October 11 and came down to Lahore. The Western disciples went to Agra, Delhi, and the other principal cities of northern India for sightseeing, and the Swami, accompanied by his disciple Sadhananda, arrived at Belur on October 18th. His brother disciples saw that he was very pallid and ill. He suffered from suffocating attacks of asthma. When he emerged from its painful fits, his face looked blue, like that of a drowning man. But in spite of all, he plunged headlong into numerous activities. On November 13, 1898, the day of the worship of Kali, the Nivedita Girls' School was opened in Kolkata. At the end of the inaugural ceremony, the Holy Mother, Sri Ramakrishna's consort, prayed that the blessing of the Great Mother of the Universe might be upon the school, and that the girls it should train might be ideal girls. Nivedita, who witnessed the ceremony with the Swamis of the order, said, "I cannot imagine a grander omen than her blessing spoken over the educated Hindu womanhood of the future." The dedication of the school was the beginning of Nivedita's work in India. The Swami gave her complete freedom about the way to run it. He told her that she was free from her collaborators if she so chose, and that she might, if she wished, give the work a definite religious color or even make it sectarian. Then he added, "You may wish through a sect to rise beyond all sects." On December 9, 1898, the Ramakrishna Monastery at Belur was formally consecrated by the Swami with the installation of the Master's image in the chapel. The plot of land, as already stated, had been purchased in the beginning of the year and had been consecrated with proper religious ceremony in March that year. The Swami himself had performed the worship on that occasion at the rented house, and afterwards had carried on his shoulder the copper vessel containing the Master's sacred relics. While bearing it, he said to a disciple, "The Master once told me, 'I will go and live wherever you take me, carrying me on your shoulder, be it under a tree or in the humblest cottage.' With faith in that gracious promise, I myself am now carrying him to the site of our future mud. Know for certain, my boy, that so long as his name inspires his followers with the ideal of purity, holiness, and charity for all men, even so long shall he, the Master, sanctify this place with his presence." Of the glorious future he saw for the monastery, the Swami said, "It will be a center in which will be recognized and practiced a grand harmony of all creeds and faiths, as exemplified in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. And religion in its universal aspect alone will be preached. And from this center of universal toleration will go forth the shining message of goodwill, peace and harmony to deluge the whole world." He warned all of the danger of sectarianisms creeping in if they became careless. After the ceremony, he addressed the assembled monks, brahmacharis and lay devotees as follows: "Do you all, my brothers, pray to the Lord with all your heart and soul, that He, the divine incarnation of the age, may bless this place with His hallowed presence forever and ever, and make it a unique center, a holy land, of harmony of different religions and sects, for the good of the many, for the happiness of the many." Swami Vivekananda was in an ecstatic mood. He had accomplished the great task of finding a permanent place on which to build a temple for the Master, with a monastery for his brother disciples and the monks of the future that should serve as the headquarters of the Ramakrishna Order for the propagation of Sri Ramakrishna's teachings. He felt as if the heavy responsibility that he had carried on his shoulders for the past 12 years had been lifted. He wanted the monastery at Belur to be a finished university where Indian mystical wisdom and Western practical science would be taught side by side. And he spoke of the threefold activities of the monastery: Annadana, the gift of food; Vidyadana, the gift of intellectual knowledge; and Gnanadana, the gift of spiritual wisdom. These three, properly balanced, would, in the Swami's opinion, make a complete man. The inmates of the monastery, through unselfish service of men, would purify their minds and thus qualify themselves for the supreme knowledge of Brahman. Swami Vivekananda, in his vivid imagination, saw the different sections of the monastery allotted to different functions: the free kitchen for the distribution of food to the hungry, the university for the imparting of knowledge, the quarters for devotees from Europe and America, and so forth and so on. The spiritual ideals emanating from the Belur Math, he once said to Miss MacLeod, would influence the thought currents of the world for 1100 years. All these visions are rising before me. These were his very words. The ceremony over, the sacred vessel was brought back to the rented house by his disciple Sharat Chandra Chakravarti, as the Swami did not want to carry back the Master from the monastery where he had just installed him. It was a few months before the buildings of the new monastery were completed, and the monastery was finally removed to its present site. The date of the momentous occasion was January 2nd, 1899. The Bengali monthly magazine, the Udbodhan, was first published on January 14th of the same year, and regarding its policy, the Swami declared that nothing but positive ideas for the physical, mental and spiritual improvement of the race should find a place in it. That, instead of criticizing the thoughts and aspirations of ancient and modern man as embodied in literature, philosophy, poetry and the arts, the magazine should indicate the way in which those thoughts and aspirations might be made conducive to progress. And finally, that the magazine should stand for universal harmony as preached by Sri Ramakrishna and disseminate his ideals of love, purity and renunciation. In our next episode, we delve into a significant phase of Swami Vivekananda's life, marked by his unwavering commitment to expanding his order and establishing a new center of spiritual learning. As he faced deteriorating health, Vivekananda's dedication to his mission never wavered. Join us as we explore the establishment of the Advaita Ashrama in the Himalayas, his relentless work to train future monks, and his profound reflections on life and service. Thank you for listening till the end. Please subscribe, turn on the notifications, like, comment, and share with your friends. This will help more listeners to discover our channel and content.